Most people assume the Basilisk is the most dangerous creature in the wizarding world. They're wrong, and it isn't even close. The creature that actually holds that title has never appeared in any Harry Potter film, and it takes 100 wizards working together to actually defeat it. 100. Let that settle for a second. But first, let's start with number 20, Vilas. You've already seen Vila. They were the Bulgarian national team's mascots at the 1994 Quidditch World Cup. They're semi-human beings who don't need a wand to cause absolute chaos. Their biological allure is so overpowering that it makes otherwise rational wizards throw themselves off stands, shout embarrassing things, and completely abandon common sense. All in pursuit of a smile. But that's only half the threat. When a Vila gets angry, the charm drops completely. Their faces contort into bird-like beaks, scaly wings burst from their shoulders, and they start throwing fireballs. A creature that can go from hypnotic to actively incinerating you in under a second deserves a spot on this list, even at 20. But if the Vila gets you through attraction, the next creature gets you through something even harder to resist: trust. The Kelpie hunts through trust. It haunts lochs and rivers across the UK and Ireland, usually appearing as a horse with a mane made of bulrushes, standing calmly at the water's edge. The moment you climb on its back, it drags you straight to the bottom to drown and devour you. All that ever floats back up is your entrails. If you've ever been curious about the Loch Ness Monster, now you know. It's a Kelpie that happens to prefer the shape of a giant serpent. The only defense is a placement charm to bridle it before it can move. Unless you're Newt Scamander, that's considerably harder than it sounds. The Kelpie at least makes sense as a predator. Number 18 doesn't. It's a creature where even its leftovers are a disaster. The Erumpent looks like a very large rhinoceros. That alone should be enough of a warning. But instead of a standard horn, it carries one loaded with explosive fluid. And anything it gores doesn't just get a hole in it, it detonates. An Erumpent doesn't wound, it destroys. Xenophilius Lovegood had what he believed was the horn of a crumple-horned snorkack mounted on his wall. It was actually an Erumpent horn. One misplaced stupefy spell during Harry, Ron, and Hermione's visit, and half his house disappeared in a fireball. When a creature's discarded horn is more dangerous than most weapons, you don't want to be near the living animal. At least with an Erumpent, you know what you're dealing with. Number 17 is a tragedy dressed up as a monster. And the most dangerous versions are the ones that chose to be. The werewolf isn't a separate species. It's a person living with a condition they didn't choose. For 28 days of the month, they're completely ordinary. On the night of a full moon, the human mind shuts off entirely, and what's left is a predator that instinctively hunts humans above all else. That's the real tragedy, the total loss of self. Remus Lupin managed that loss with the Wolfsbane potion. It retained enough of his identity to keep the people around him safe. Fenrir Greyback made the opposite choice. He embraced it, deliberately targeted children, and built a movement around the infection. The physical threat is real. The ideological one that Greyback represents is worse. The werewolf is a creature defined by what it loses. The griffin, at number 16, is defined by what it has. And it has everything a guardian needs to be genuinely lethal. The griffin, front half of an eagle, rear half of a lion, is one of the most physically strong creatures in the wizarding world. Wizards have used them as guardians for centuries because their loyalty to a bonded handler is absolute, and their ferocity toward anyone else is equally absolute. They sit in an uncomfortable middle ground, almost intelligent enough to seem manageable, just wild enough to be completely unpredictable. They didn't get much page time compared to hippogriffs, but the principle is the same, just amplified. A griffin that hasn't bonded with you isn't going to stand on ceremony. It's going to attack. And the gap between it registering you as a threat and acting on that is essentially zero. Where the griffin operates on raw power, number 15 is something stranger. A creature whose biggest danger might actually be itself. The Runespore is a three-headed snake with a peculiar internal dynamic. The left head plans. The middle head daydreams. The right head criticizes. And it has highly venomous fangs to back that criticism up. You'll often find a Runespore with the right head missing, because at some point the other two snapped, teamed up, and bit it off. The sibling rivalry is real. Don't let the internal drama distract you from the actual threat. Runespores are massive, their venom is dangerous, and their eggs are so valuable as potion ingredients that dark wizards actively hunt them. The Ministry has had to make entire forests unplottable just to protect the colonies that remain. The Runespore at least has the decency to be unusual. Number 14 looks completely ordinary, and that is exactly the problem. The graphorn is found in the mountains of Europe, and it has skin tougher than dragonhide. It carries 2 long golden horns and a temperament that makes a mountain troll think twice. Mountain trolls have repeatedly attempted to use graphorns as mounts, and they consistently end up badly lacerated for the trouble. The real problem is that its hide deflects most magic outright. You cannot stupefy your way out of a graphorn encounter. Its horns are critical components and antidotes to rare poisons, which creates a brutal irony. Getting the ingredient you need to survive requires getting close enough to something that can kill you without trying particularly hard. The graphorn kills you through brute force. Number 13 kills you through something far more unsettling. It puts your mind to work against you first. The Sphinx has a human head and a lion's body, and it uses both in the worst possible way. It's classified as a beast despite its intelligence, and it has no interest in human society on its own terms. What it wants is a game, specifically riddles. The catch is that the game has teeth. Harry ran into one in the Triwizard Tournament maze. It sat completely still, posed its question, and made the stakes immediately clear. Get it right, and pass. Get it wrong, and face 500 pounds of lion with no warning and no hesitation. The Sphinx is the purest example of psychological threat on this list. It doesn't bluff, and it doesn't give second chances. The Sphinx at least announces the game. Number 12 has already read the game from your head before you knew you were playing. The Wampus cat comes from North America, and on the surface, it looks like a 6-legged mountain lion. That alone would be enough for most lists. What makes it genuinely terrifying is what's happening in its head. The Wampus cat is a natural legilimens. It can read your intentions. You cannot sneak up on it. You cannot plan around it. It already knows what you're going to do. On top of that, it can hypnotize a target before moving in. The Cherokee people have documented encounters with them for centuries. They're so deeply respected that they became one of the 4 house mascots at Ilvermorny. When a predator has finished reading your mind by the time you've spotted it, the encounter is already halfway over. The Wampus cat outthinks you. Number 11 eats you, and it does so with full awareness of what it's doing. Acromantulas are the result of experimental wizard breeding gone wrong, and whoever ran that experiment got exactly what they deserved. Native to Southeast Asia, they grow to the size of a small car, possess human-level intelligence, and have a specific preference for human flesh. They're not just dangerous. They're dangerous, and they know it. Aragog was loyal to Hagrid. That relationship was real. But the moment Harry and Ron turned up in the Forbidden Forest, the rest of the colony was already forming a ring. After Aragog died, the colony became a fully unpredictable threat, attacking at the Battle of Hogwarts without distinguishing sides. Their venom is worth 100 galleons a pint. Any creature that is simultaneously intelligent, enormous, venomous, and openly interested in eating you earns a top 10 spot. The Acromantula is disturbing because it's smart. Number 10 might be the most disturbing entry on the list, because it might once have been a person. The quintuped, more commonly known as the hairy McBoon, is a 5-legged carnivore only found on the island of Dreer in Scotland, and its origin story is one of the more disturbing on the list. According to legend, they were originally a wizarding family called the McBoons, transfigured into monsters by a rival clan, the McCliverts. The McCliverts immediately regretted this decision. The transformed McBoons proceeded to eat every single McClivert before moving on to the McDonald's, not to be confused with the multinational fast food corporation, leaving no one alive who could reverse the spell. Whether that legend is literally true or simply an explanation for why the creature exists, the result is the same. The Ministry has declared the entire island unplottable because the quintupeds cannot be captured, cannot be reasoned with, and will not stop attacking. The quintuped is dangerous because nothing could stop it. Number 9 is dangerous for a different reason. Nobody who's ever tried to stop one has lived long enough to explain how they did it. The chimera, lion's head, goat's body, dragon's tail, is so naturally aggressive and so resistant to magic that the Ministry keeps a dedicated task force specifically for investigating sightings. Not dealing with them. Investigating. Actually confronting one is another matter entirely. In all of recorded magical history, there's exactly one instance of a wizard killing a chimera. That wizard died of exhaustion shortly after. The victory and the defeat were barely distinguishable. If you ever hear a rumor of a chimera in the Mediterranean, the correct response is to leave the area immediately and not look back. If the chimera is the hardest creature to kill, the Hungarian horntail at number 8 is the one most likely to kill you before you even have a plan. Across all 10 recognized dragon species, The Hungarian horntail is the most consistently lethal. Its flames reach up to 50 feet. Its tail is spiked like a medieval mace. Its bronze horns are built for close-quarter destruction. A nesting horntail needs a full team of trained handlers just to keep it contained. And even then, Harry's encounter in the Tri-Wizard tournament showed how quickly it can break free of any containment that isn't the Hulkbuster.
Go to sleep.
Dragons are the apex predators of the sky, and the horntail is the apex of the apex. Every other champion in that tournament drew a different species for a reason. And here's the thing, dragons aren't even in the top 5 of this list. The horntail kills you fast and loud. Number 7 kills you slowly while singing about it. The manticore carries a human head, a lion's body, and a scorpion's sting, and it is deeply, consciously aware of all 3. It sings while it devours its prey. Its skin repels almost every known charm. Its sting is instantly fatal. In 1296, a manticore attacked a wizard, and the Ministry of Magic couldn't prosecute it. Not because of a legal technicality, but because no official was willing to get close enough to serve the papers. That's the manticore. So dangerous that the people whose entire job is handling dangerous creatures simply refused to go anywhere near it. Every creature so far can be fought, even if barely. Number 6 can't, because it doesn't take your body. It takes something worse. Dementors aren't classified as beasts. They're amortal non-beings. But they belong on this list without question. They radiate cold and despair wherever they are, feeding on human happiness just by being present. Spend enough time near one, and you can no longer form a single positive thought. Their ultimate attack, the Dementor's kiss, doesn't kill. It removes your soul while leaving your body technically alive. The result is a breathing, empty shell that will never recover and never be restored. The only reliable defense is the Patronus charm. But even then, a number of trained witches and wizards cannot produce one under real pressure. When they defected to Voldemort in the Second Wizarding War, it was one of the clearest signs of how close the side of the light came to complete collapse. The Lethifold looks like a thin black cloak drifting along the ground at night, and it hunts sleeping victims exclusively. It wraps itself around the face of a sleeping person, suffocates them, and digests them where they lie. By morning, it's gone, and so is the victim. No body, no evidence, no sign of a struggle. There is exactly one known survivor, Flavius Belby, who managed to cast a Patronus charm while already losing consciousness. Because they leave absolutely nothing behind, Lethifold attacks have been used deliberately to stage disappearances and fake deaths. A predator that hunts you while you sleep leaves no trace and can only be stopped by one of the hardest spells to cast under pressure. That earns its place at number 5. Giants reach 25 feet in height, and their skin naturally resists magic. It takes a minimum of 6 wizards casting simultaneously just to stun one, unless you're a first-year Hogwarts student trapped in a small bathroom. Their numbers have dwindled through centuries of internal warfare. Giants kill each other more efficiently than any outside force ever has. But at the Battle of Hogwarts, their presence was a reminder of exactly what that strength means in practice. Living siege weapons that can bring down a section of wall with a single swing. Completely indifferent to spellfire. Hagrid spent months negotiating with the giant colony in continental Europe to bring them to Dumbledore's side. The fact that it took Hagrid specifically, part giant himself, deeply experienced, essentially fearless, to even get the conversation started, tells you something about how this negotiation normally goes. Giants destroy from the outside in. Number 3 destroys from the inside out. And it started as a child. The Obscurus isn't something you'll find hunting in a forest. It's what happens when a magical child is forced, through abuse, trauma, or extreme fear, to suppress their own abilities. The magic turns inward and becomes parasitic, forming a dark, fluid force the host cannot control and cannot release safely. When it erupts outward as pure, undirected destruction. We saw it with Ariana Dumbledore. We saw it with Credence Barebone. It cannot be contained by standard spells, because it isn't a biological entity. It's magic itself, inverted. It is almost always fatal to the child carrying it. The most disturbing thing about the Obscurus isn't its destructive power. Every Obscurus is a direct consequence of the wizarding world's own failures. The Obscurus is unpredictable because it's broken. Number 2 is precise, ancient, and has been waiting in the dark for 1,000 years. The Basilisk is born from a chicken's egg, incubated under a toad, a process so dangerous that it has been banned since medieval times. It can grow to 50 feet in length and live for centuries. Its direct gaze is instantly fatal. Even its reflected gaze causes full petrification. Its venom is one of only a handful of substances in the wizarding world capable of destroying a Horcrux. The Serpent of Slytherin lived inside the walls of Hogwarts for 1,000 years, and no one knew. When it finally attacked, it took a phoenix, the sword of Gryffindor, a basilisk fang through Harry's arm, and a near-death experience to stop it. They can only be directed by a Parselmouth, and even that control has limits. The basilisk is the ultimate dark inheritance. Ancient, patient, and almost impossible to stop once it's moving. Unless you're a second-year Hogwarts student trapped in a weird sex dungeon. Now, the single most dangerous, deadliest, scariest creature in all of Harry Potter is Hermione when she fails her owls.
Where have you been? Never mind, off to bed, both of you.
Nah, it's the Nundu, a gigantic leopard native to East Africa. It moves in complete silence despite its size. Its breath carries diseases so virulent that a single exhalation can wipe out an entire village. In all of recorded magical history, it has never been brought down by fewer than 100 skilled wizards working in coordination. Not 10, not 20, 100. The Nundu has no dramatic debut in the Harry Potter films. It never gets a name drop in the books. It simply exists, quietly, in East Africa, as the only creature in the wizarding world that functions as a mass casualty event on its own. Newt Scamander reportedly had one in his case. The wisest thing anyone could do with that information is never, under any circumstances, open the lid. Every creature on this list came from a world that Rowling built with extraordinary attention to the strange and the dangerous. If you want to go further into that world, check out my video on every wizarding school in Harry Potter explained in detail. From Hogwarts to Durmstrang to Ilvermorny, the full picture of how the wizarding world trains its next generation is more interesting than most people realize.